Welcome to Health Systems CIO's interview with Chuck Podesta, CIO at Renown Health. I'm Anthony Guerra, founder and editor-in-chief. Chuck, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thank you, Anthony. Good to be here, man.
Awesome. So we'll talk a little bit about your upcoming session at the Chime Fall Forum, Chaos to Clarity, Shaping the Future of Interoperable Intelligence.
Mhm.
Interesting topic. So looking forward to jumping into that a little bit. But if you want to start off by telling me a little bit about your organization and your role.
Yeah, sure. I'm at Renown Health here in Reno, Nevada. Been here for about 4 years now, and Renown's growing rapidly. We are a three hospital system, so we have Renown Regional, which is our main acute care facility, about 800 beds. It was smaller, South Meadows, different part of town, more of a community type hospital, about 200 beds. And then we have a children's hospital as well that's within the regional hospital. We also have, the whole array of ambulatory care centers and clinics in the Reno area. We also have a very close partnership with the University of Nevada, Reno Medical School, and rapidly kind of moving into becoming a academic medical center. Also, if you've heard, we have an insurance company called Hometown Health with 73,000 subscribers, and we just announced a big joint venture with Kaiser Permanente.
Oh,
So
very
we'll
nice.
be launching
Yeah,
that over the next year with Kaiser. So excited about that. But I'm in an area now that's growing about 7% year over year. So Renown's growing with it.
excellent. All
Yeah.
right, very good. So let's touch on some of the topics that may come up in your session. Um, Shaping the future of interoperable intelligence. Um, Digital intelligence is, the information we're talking about, interoperability. That's what I'm trying to say. Interoperability. Are you pleased? You've been in this game a long time. Are you pleased with where we are as far as interoperability, or are you still frustrated? Are you frustrated that we're not further along and that even moving data in between different instances of the same vendor can be quite challenging, let alone among vendors? We've had different initiatives, different things people tried, Smart on Fire, all kinds of different groups, Care Quality, all different industry groups. What are your thoughts around where we stand right now from an interoperability point of view?
Yeah, I think we're evolving, but we're still very far behind where we need to be. It is frustrating, although with some of the new technologies, especially around AI, there's hope now. Also, the federal government's got involved as well. With various rules around the requirement of moving data. But when you think about it from the patient perspective, and we're all patients, right, as well, even though we work in the industry. We want to see our stuff, all in one place,
Right.
from a care perspective. And we're starting to take more control over our care, especially I know as I get older, you have a tendency of more things to go wrong, and you want to be able to manage those yourself. So you need that data. And we're also a mobile society, so we're moving from one state to another, cross country, and we want to be able to take our records with us. So if we just look at it from that perspective, from the patient perspective, it's frustrating to me, and I'm in the industry, so it's got to be frustrating to others. I am hopeful though, because of what I'm seeing, and we'll just, if you just mentioned Epic, they've come out with their kind of universal my chart that they'll be
Right.
rolling out. It doesn't matter where you've been in the United States or basically the world, but you can have a single my chart now. But again, that's with Epic
Right.
information, which is quite a bit, but it's not everything. But it's a step in the right direction. So I think the industry's thinking about the right things and utilizing the newer technologies around AI to pull it together. But I think we can do a lot more.
Right. Right. Very good. Um, you know, your write-up of your session talks about data strategy. And I was wondering if you could give us or give me a better idea of what we mean when we say a particular health system has a particular data strategy. And I assume those could be different, right? It would only make
Mhm.
sense that one organization could have a particular data strategy and another health system could have a different one. Can you give me some idea of what we mean when we talk about a data strategy?
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic because there's a couple schools of thought around this, and again, this is impacted by AI. Before AI, it was basically okay. You need a single source of truth. You got to
Hmm.
figure out a data lake strategy, a data
Right,
warehouse strategy, something, right? With all the governance tools with it, so that, whether you're creating operational dashboards for the organization, all types of reporting requests, that the information is accurate. And so you've got all these disparate systems. You're pulling information from Epic, you're pulling information
right,
from, Workday and all these other various systems that you have into, name your flavor, Snowflake, Databricks. Gosh, there's so many Innovator. I mean, I could name vendor after vendor that do this type of work. And so that's one strategy, a very good one. A lot of work, expensive, takes a lot of discipline, especially around the governance side of it. Um, but worthwhile. You have a research impact to that as well. You can utilize that data for research. There's a lot you can do, and a lot of organizations are very far along in that path. Some have implemented it. Academic medical centers certainly are pretty far along in that path. But what's changed the discussion around that is AI, because there's something called orchestration AI, right?
yep,
Where you leave the data where it is and you use AI to go get it. So you got your work days, you got your Epic, you know, name your flavor. With AI now, you may not need to put, and as long as you've got, solid governance in place, you may not need to move that into a Databricks. You can, have AI go out and query the data where it exists,
hmm,
right? When you think about that, it's going to be faster, cheaper, right? Um, Hopefully around the governance, it's just as accurate, right? Because you're coming from the source system.
right.
Yeah, so there still needs to be some rules put in place, but I'm 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 excited about that. I think you're going to hear a lot more about that because it's going to allow us to plug and play different systems and then
Hmm.
bring it together, bring that interoperability together using AI as opposed to Smart on Fire, those types of tools, looking for API standards, having vendors adopt the standards. It's going to be more about, can you just open your database up and we'll have AI go get it for us. So, and if you think about think about Chat GPT, right? A
Hmm.
generative product. That's what it does, right? It goes to Amazon. You ask a question about, you know, what I should buy, or what I should. I'm looking for a new car, or I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. It goes out to all these databases. It goes out
Right.
to Amazon. It goes out to all these different things, and it comes back with an answer or a
Hmm.
next thing, and you can
Hmm.
query. Oh, okay, give me I got that information now. Give me this information. Goes out and may query other databases, right? You can do that internally to your organization. I'm very, very excited about that. And I'll give you an example of that. If you look at Seattle Children's, Dr. Chowdhury, right?
Well, yep, I know him well.
Yeah. And you may want to actually do a session with him because they've created something called, I believe it's called Astro. And it's a generative AI that they've built within Seattle Children's. And it allows you to go, say you're a new employee and you're on the system and you forgot your password.
Hmm.
Well, rather than calling the help desk and say, I forgot my password, you go into the Astro and you say, I forgot my password. Now, if it's a self, something that's self you can do by yourself, it'll tell you how to do it and help you through it, right? So if you want to go change your 401k distribution, rather than calling HR, you ask Astro. All right. So if you think about it, what he's done very smartly is he's taken all these disparate databases, and instead of moving it into a centralized database, he's using AI to go out and query what exists today and utilizing it to really enhance the productivity of his organization. Because when you think about it, all these mundane tasks that require phone calls and emails, now he's put the power into the staff's hands to go out and do those things on their own. So it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to talk to them at some point about what they're seeing as results and benefits. Less phone calls, less
Right.
emails, less right. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So interesting. And we're going to launch an AI innovation center here next year, beginning of next year, with all the data governance and look at, all the epic things that are coming in, and we'll, start to vet those and which ones we're going to use, but also, uh, our governance, data governance, AI governance will be managed through that. But we're also going to look at productivity tools to turn on our, 8,000 employees. And we want them to do is look at all the mundane tasks you do on a regular basis. And let's figure out how to automate those, not to replace you, but to take those away so that you can do the work that only you can do, um, and get rid of all that other stuff. And I think, Seattle Children's, and I'm sure that some other places have done it as well, are starting to do that, starting to think along those lines. And that's what's exciting to me. And interoperability is the key to making all of that work. Yeah.
Well, but it's a different kind of interoperability, right? It's
Totally
not the
different. And
old
that's the
style
fun.
data lake interoperability. It's
Yeah.
a go out and grab stuff. So it's totally different. It creates
Yeah.
interoperability without the classic interoperability challenges we've been discussing for 15 years.
We're not talking about interfaces anymore.
Right.
Right, right. This will, yeah, I mean, in the short term, we still got all of that.
Yeah.
Uh, but you can see when you think about it in the long term, that it's a game changer. And I think that in our session, that's what you're going to hear a lot about
Yeah.
is switching from kind of that traditional thinking around APIs and things like that. And, we still need some of those,
Yeah.
but starting to shift that conversation to more of using AI in a different way. Yeah. And to
Yeah.
bring that data together.
I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned ChatGPT, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big user of.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. I think it's amazing what it can do. As you mentioned, the conversations you can have, the questions you can ask, the follow up. It's
Amazing.
amazing. It's like that dream interface we've always wanted. And
Exactly.
I was thinking because the other issue I've been looking into a lot is, or thinking about a lot and discussing with people a lot, there's this idea of abandonment rates on some of these technologies we put in that we know in our personal lives some of the unpleasant technologies we're forced to use when we try and interact with an organization, and some of them we don't enjoy at all, right? Many of them we don't
Exactly.
enjoy at all on the consumer side, but we're implementing them on the industry side. There's a disconnect there, and there's abandonment is an important number, right? How many people are
Right.
abandoning and trying to get around the things we put in place? I never abandon ChatGPT. I use it.
Yeah.
I don't start using it. What do I abandon? I abandon Siri sometimes. When I ask Siri a question, Siri gives me, oh, here are 3 articles you can look at to try and figure out the question you asked me. I just wanted to
Exactly.
know who's playing in Monday Night Football tonight. I didn't want you to
Right.
send me a link to 3 articles.
Right.
Point being, it's almost like we see the new standard in the interactions we have with ChatGPT. Make all my interactions with your organization like
Same.
that.
Exactly. So when you think about what Dr. Tauchi's doing at Seattle Children's, it's brilliant because that's what he's doing. He's creating an internal chat GPT for not just leaders or doctors or nurses. I mean, they're all very important, but everybody in the organization, right? And then once you start doing it, you start off small, like, look at your help desk tickets. How many calls do you get for password reset, right? And so then you automate the password reset and then now Astro does it, right? And so, okay, what else can I do? Okay, 401k. Okay, this you start to, and then you start, now you can go out to your staff and say, what else is you do every single day that's a pain in the butt and has nothing, it doesn't add value to the organization at all, that we can take away from you so that you can do the work that only you can do. I mean, that now you're not talking about laying off people, but you are talking about like getting higher productivity from the people that exist. So maybe you don't have to hire as many people in the future, right? So that's
Right.
what you save. Yeah.
I'm guessing that it's not easy to build an LLM like ChatGPT, right? That's like a zillion dollars that went into that and a billion people, and it's not easy. So you have to have a lot of talent to build these kind of things. You have to have the data, you have to have the money, you have to have the bandwidth, right? Because it's not easy to build something that does what ChatGPT does, even if you're just trying to build it for your internal information and data and guidelines and policies and all that. It's probably not that easy to get that kind of natural interaction.
Mhm. And you're right. I mean, that's why you're seeing like the Seattle Children's, the Stanfords,
Right,
Dr. Pfeffer,
right,
doing the same thing. But it's going to get easier because
right,
you're going to have tools that are going to build that stuff for
right,
you,
right.
right? You heard citizen coding and things like that,
Yeah,
where me and you can go out and do this type of coding. There's going to be tools that will build those connections for you rather than you having to code them yourselves. So that's all on
yeah.
its way
It's gonna happen.
and
Everything's gonna happen so
fast,
fast too. Things are
fast.
gonna happen fast.
Yeah, it's not this like 5 year horizon anymore, or
No,
3 year or 5 year. It's months. We're talking months.
right.
Yeah. And you'll
It's
have a tool that will build you an LLM.
right. You just
It'll
dump
build
in
you
all
them.
your policies and procedures and documents and then
Tell it
you
what to
create
do.
the database that people can query with this beautiful natural language back and forth.
Exactly.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it will be very far from the phone tree of, our listen closely because our menu options have changed, right? Everyone wants to jump out the window when they hear that.
Oh, and a year later, when you call, you have the same message, right? Well, recently changed. Well, recently, what's that? A year, 2 years? Is that still
Oh,
recent? They just put
right,
that in there because they know it's not going to work all the time.
right.
So they want you to have patience, even though you made the changes 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, and it's nobody, it was nobody's job to change that ever, right? It was
No,
nobody's
no,
job. That's the
no.
thing.
But the other thing I would challenge organizations to look at is in small, Renown, we're about, a little over 2 billion. Large organization, but huge is to go out and look at what people are using today, right? Whether you have Copilot, whether it's chat, you allow access, monitor
Right.
access to ChatGPT and things like that. You'll be amazed because I'm thinking only a few people are using this stuff, right? We did a study a couple of weeks ago. We just looked at it for 1 week. We had 1,000 individuals use ChatGPT at least once on our systems, right? And we monitor it and we lock it. You can't, load PHI and things like that um, on it yet. But we're going to get a business license so we can
Yeah.
manage it. But 1,000, we have 8,000 people. We had
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And you can imagine an organization has 20,000 people. Well, they got 5,000 using it, maybe eight. And of course, it's not managed or anything. So you've got a lot of people out there. And what we're finding is you don't have to go out and hire a consulting company to come in and tell you how to do this stuff.
Okay.
You have evangelists in your organization.
Oh,
We're going
yeah.
out, we're going out and finding them now. I found this gentleman who can write content on ChatGPT like nobody's business. And
Uh-huh.
the way to get ChatGPT to work correctly, or Grok or any of them, is you got to give them context, right? You
Right.
got to paint the ppicture.
Right.
And the better, the more detail you give it, the better answer you're going to get, right?
Right.
This gentleman has written the most unbelievable queries. Well, I talked to him. I said, will you come into our AI innovation and help train other people? Absolutely.
Yeah,
To
it's
do it as
great.
part of his job. He has a whole different job, but these folks, they're they're evangelists. They love what they're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
and they want to help other people do it as
Right.
well for no cost.
Right.
You already hired them. You're already paying them. So go out and find those people and bring them in, use AI, use the interoperability. We're going to build it. You can build the Astros of the world by just your own employees. You don't have to go. And by the way, there's no consulting company to come in and tell you how to do it anyway, because there's no
Right.
roadmap yet
Right.
to do this. There's no cookbook, no recipe. So, do it organically within your organization. Those people, they're not in IT either. They're outside. They're doctors. They're
Yeah.
nurses.
These are smart people,
They're
and
smart.
they love this stuff. And yeah, your
Find out who they
doctors
are.
are
So we're
probably doing crazy, amazing things with this stuff. So try and bring it into the light, right?
bring it. Yeah, yeah. They're doing something. And so you want to have them work for you. They already work for you, but have them
Yeah.
work for you in a different way. So to me, that's the way to start, and then see where your holes are. And again, it's all about interoperability because you've got to have the data and it's got to be quality data. Otherwise,
Right.
garbage in, garbage out. So data governance is super important around this stuff. Cybersecurity, again, security is super important. Looking at your LLM and hallucinations, all that kind of stuff, super important. But there's people in your organization know how to do this stuff. They're
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How are you finding your sort of have the key people you need to work with changed based on some of this AI stuff going on? I mean, I would imagine the interactions between a CIO and a chief data officer. I mean, the CISO stuff has been important for at least
Mhm.
5 years with ransomware, so that's very tight. But data and analytics are probably more a part of your world than they ever have been. Is that?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Because that's your infrastructure, and you can't, like when you think about AI, you think about a pyramid, right?
Right.
And down at the bottom is your infrastructure,
Right.
your networks, your data
Right. Right.
center, right? Right. And your cybersecurity, all that secure stuff, and your data platform and platforms, I should say, because you got data everywhere. That extremely important because again, AI is not going to run correctly without that infrastructure
Right.
being in place, right?
Right.
And the accuracy of the data is paramount.
Right.
You can run AI all day long, but if your data is not accurate, you're going to get false information.
I
And
mean, you go
so
ahead.
you got to bet that data governance, no matter where it is. If you leave the Workday data in Workday, you still have to have a data governance around it. You have to have data governance around your Epic data. If you've got a Databricks set up, you got to have data governance around that. What gets in, what comes out. Super important. Because without that, again, like I said, you're going to get, it doesn't matter how interoperability it is,
Mm.
it's kind of like, if you go back to the Astro thing at Seattle's Children's, somebody forget their password. Now, if he doesn't have accurate data as to how to do that, it could send the person to the wrong place, thinking they're resetting a password where they're doing something else, right?
Right.
Just that
Right.
one little example. Um, so the data's got to be accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've heard stories that data in healthcare can be problematic, messy, not clean. I assume like, you
Mhm.
know, each organization could get some kind of score, and it probably maybe there isn't one score for the whole organization, right? Because there are pockets of
Right.
data. Some of them are probably more high quality and
Very
some
good.
are a mess.
Correct.
So I assume what's happening is a lot of people are not doing that cleanup work first because it's a little embarrassing to say it needs to be done. You got the higher ups, they want to know you're leveraging AI to improve processes and care and workflow, and they're saying
Yep.
go, go, go. And a dirty little secret could be, well, I'd love to go, 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 but this stuff's a mess. We have so much work to do before I
Yeah.
can go, go, go. I don't know if the things are playing out like that. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. And I think, you're going to hear stories if we haven't already heard them of, AI projects gone sideways because of the data issues and
Right,
that where they're thinking it's going one way and it's like it fails. And there's a lot of studies out there that are showing. MIT has a study on generative AI across all industries.
Yeah,
It shows over 90% of
right.
those projects have failed.
Yeah,
And if you look on the detail of that, a lot of it's because of the data,
right.
and they're not getting the ROI back. Now, what concerns me more than that is that, if you're trying to reset a password and you go to the wrong site to do that, that's one thing. Okay. If you're diagnosing a patient, that's a totally different thing.
Right.
So we got to get this right before we move into the clinical side of the world, right? And do prescriptive and predictive, analytics around patients, and individual patients start prescribing things based on what AI is telling us, right?
Right.
There's a lot of legal aspects to that, and governments are getting involved now, passing, California's a law now where, and I think some other states are looking at it. Pennsylvania, I think, just passed a law where, if you're using AI to diagnose a patient, you have to have an individual in between that result of AI and the patient, right?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
great, and we
that makes
get
sense.
that, right? We
Yeah.
get that, and that makes sense. But as I mean, to your point, I think we still want to be giving good recommendations to the doctors, right? Even if they're there
Yeah.
and they're going to make the ultimate decision, it's the job of everyone in the organization to make sure that's good data, so the AI is operating on good data and can give the best recommendation possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now you're hurting you're hurting somebody. You're injuring somebody, as opposed to, what we're talking about with productivity and things like that. You may get a wrong answer and you got to
Right.
fix it,
Right.
but it's not really, it's not affecting your patient but it's going to go that way. And it's already has. Some of the bigger organizations like the Mayos and Stanfords, they're already, but they've got teams around, making sure that the results that they're getting are correct. But, the smaller organization that goes
Yeah.
forward with this stuff, that doesn't have the infrastructure that a Mayo or a Stanford has or a Cleveland Clinic has, that's danger zone. Because
Yeah.
that's a startup moving into the diagnostic world in a smaller organization. You can see like the bad things that could happen, in those organizations, right? So
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I worry about,
Here's something else
more.
to worry about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we're
well,
worrying
that's a
about
big one
things.
because I certainly don't want to be a patient in that particular
No.
instance. Right?
But here's another one, and we've touched on this before in different webinars. You've been on with us. You've spoken about it. Um, the connections between cloud, AI, and business continuity, right? Because we are, as we roll on EMRs, everything's digital. We've seen the effects of losing connectivity from ransomware or just an outage when the
Yep,
digital tools that we've given these clinicians are not available. Care comes to a screeching halt, right?
yep,
Nobody's
yep.
comfortable going back to paper. Doctors, some young doctors don't know how to even practice medicine without the digital tools. We're continuing to move down that road with AI as we continue to, and we have to, but we continue to make the digital world, you know, everything about medicine. Again, we have to, and it's everywhere and it's everything, but it almost exacerbates the problem of ripping it all away when you have an outage. Any thoughts around that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look what happened yesterday or Sunday with AWS.
Right.
I mean, and that goes to a whole different strategy around hybrid cloud and, where your data center should be and things like that. That's a whole nother thing. But you're right. You know, when you got, doctors using ambient AI, for example,
Right.
right? And they're sitting with a patient and doing they get their phone out and doing the document, having a call, and that stops.
Yep.
Now what do? They got to go in and type again. Now they can do that because that's how they started. But to get to your earlier point, a couple of years from now, they ain't gonna know how to do that.
Right.
They're gonna be relying on the ambient technology and the new doctors coming in, right? They're gonna be trained on that. They're gonna be trained on typing into Epic. That doesn't occur anymore, right? And
Yeah.
so you can see how these things are going to, if you have a disruption of those services, I mean, they may have to end the appointment.
I mean, and
I mean, they might have to like be like, I'm sorry, my listening device is not listening.
it's almost like I can't practice
So
medicine at the moment,
no, we got to
right?
reschedule. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Exactly. So that's why you're going to see the shift, on cyber. Right now, a lot of it's on alerting and detecting, right? Detecting, alerting, responding, right? So you get an alert, you detect something, you get an alert. So you shut down your internet, you do whatever you need to do, you clean it up. Hopefully it doesn't not already in your systems to cause a ransomware attack or something like
Right.
that. You're going to see a big shift now. It's already happening to resilience and recovery. So it's going to be all be about, yeah, we still need to do alerting, detecting, but we're going to get hit because they're using AI just like we're using AI, the bad actors. So we're going to get hit. So how do we keep from, instead of having a 30-day outage of our EHR to 24-hour outage of our EHR? Still bad, but not 30 days, right? Like you see
How do we
now, it's
do
like
that? How do
weeks.
we do that?
How do we do that?
That's
Exactly
a
right. And
tough
that's where a
one.
lot, yeah, and well, a lot of tools are coming. That's where a lot of the focus is now because, you know, we don't have $1 billion to have $1 billion loss over, if it's Ascension, true story, or one of these others where it cost them $1 billion. Well, they got $1 billion. I'm
Yeah.
sure it was painful,
Yeah.
but they got it. Renown, I would say, 80% of healthcare is not Ascension or Cleveland Clinic. We can't absorb a 30-day downtime in an EHR. We just can't. And some of these even smaller hospitals will go out of business
Right.
because they're if there's another player in town that's not down, they're going to go that way, and you'll
They
never get a
have to.
bet, right?
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
patients, they got to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you think about the cloud, you think about where your data is, data centers, you better have backup. You better start to test these things
Yeah.
in a real-time way. We
Yeah.
can switch from one system to
Right.
another
Right.
area, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot. Again, it's going to cost money, but you're going to see a lot more tools around, the Rubrics of the world that are out there that are allow you to switch over quickly and get your data back up again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
I think
that's going to be key.
yeah, as I think you're right. I mean, I think again, the technology is such a part of practicing medicine. I think it's unrealistic to expect healthcare to continue operating without these tools. So instead of having a how do we go to paper strategy, or I think the better strategy is how do we never have to go to paper? What are our redundant electronic systems?
Right. And not have all your eggs in one basket. I mean, look at
Right,
all the companies that had their eggs in the AWS basket on Sunday into Monday. I mean,
right,
some of these like a Venmo and some of these others that are transaction based, right?
right,
They're thinking, hey, we're in the cloud, we got all
right.
this redundancy in the world. I
Yeah,
guarantee you there's meetings at Venmo right now to say, how do we keep this from happening? Do we need also a Google strategy besides an AWS strategy, right?
right,
Because we just lost, $7 million an hour,
right.
right? And we were down for 12 hours. So do the math. So yeah, I mean, these conversations are happening at all those companies today, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yeah,
And how can AI facilitate that too? The
right,
interoperability. How can it allow me to swing from Google to AWS or from
right,
cloud to on-prem to,
right,
yeah, and I think that's the next thing that you're going to start seeing. And then,
right.
once that happened, then the bad actors, they don't have, you can start, I don't want to say give them the middle finger, but yeah, give them the middle finger
Well, that's ideal,
when
right?
when they say, hey, we want $12 million from you, we get your data, you're not giving me the keys
Yeah,
back, and you just be like, hey, screw you, we're already up and running again.
that would be wonderful, right? I mean,
Exactly.
we've heard of nightmare scenarios where they've also gotten to the backups somehow, and
That's
right,
got to
and
be covered
yeah,
as well as part of this
yeah,
as well. So yeah, I mean, but I look at the silver lining, like what happened to AWS. It was only 12 hours. It's but it's wake up calls now.
Right.
Now you've got all these other companies out there that have way more money than we do in healthcare. They're going to start looking at different strategies around this that we can benefit from, right?
Right.
And learn from. Yeah.
It is a wild world out there, my friend, and you have the outfit on to deal with the wild world because
Yeah,
the
it's what we
Wild
call it
West thing.
it's the Wild West, right?
Wild West. That's it. That's it.
It's still the Wild West. Yeah.
All right, my
All
friend.
right.
This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Antonio. So,
Sounds good, Anthony. Let's cowboy up.
you got it, my friend. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye bye.